Salutations everyone, this is Razor bringing you guys another Overwatch 2 video where today we are going to be talking about tank mind games because it is the most important part of Overwatch 2 right now. As you all know, we are in a counter-picking meta where things are just straight up better in a head-to-head matchup than others, and that is most felt and most important in the tank role. So, as you can see, I start off here as Roadhog and I immediately switch off because this is the beginning of the meta mind game. I don't like playing Roadhog and I don't want to play Roadhog and I don't want to play against Roadhogs. But I felt like it was a safe move. I feel like the enemy was also probably going to pick Roadhog because that is just the pick right now. But they came out with Zarya, which, sad for me because that means I'm going to have to switch because I'm not faring well in that matchup right now. But it also helps me because this means I don't have to play Roadhog. I'm going to go with the Zarya mirror match. And while we do lose the fight there, this is where the tide is going to start to turn. Because tanks are the most important type of unit in Overwatch. Always has been, always will be. They dictate the pace. They create the space. They have the most game-swinging ultimates. They survive the longest. And there's only one of them, right? We have the biggest health pool, so we can make the biggest, longest impact within the game. And if you can force your opponent into a bad situation to force them to switch, then you have won the mind game, and that is just one step away from winning the game in the onset of the match, right? This game, unfortunately, can be won at the character select screen, regardless of how bad you do play or how well you play. We all know Overwatch is a team game. The carry potential is very, very limited in this game. It is not very common. Almost no characters can do it, and you're not going to have as big of an impact on your wins and your losses as you would like to in this game. So, what you can do, however, is put the game in your favor on paper, right? We know certain things are going to do well against certain things, certain playstyles, certain compositions. And at the lower levels of Diamond and below, where people aren't going to be communicating as well, they're not going to go for set strategies and focus down units, and everyone's trickling, and people are going for 1v5s over and over, and even though no one in the history of the universe has ever won a 1v5, people still play this way, and that's something you can't control. So, Overwatch 2, and obviously Overwatch 1 as well, Overwatch as a whole is all based on what you can control. So in the vast majority of games, you will lose no matter how well you play, and you will win no matter how bad you play. But there's a small percentage of games, 5 to 10% of those games is going to be decided on how well you play, the individual, how well you play, what impact do you make in a certain fight, in a certain interaction, at a certain time, in a certain place of the map can be the difference. Because the rest of it is just going to be so close. That one play or set of plays can be the difference. So, in order to give us the advantage in this small percentage of times where you are going to actually have a lasting impact on how the game works, it's going to be up to you to determine what the tank battle is. And that is best determined from the tank role itself, because how tanks interact with one another is super important. It's not the end-all be-all. A lot of people did misconstrue this in my last video where I was talking about how good Roadhog was, and people are saying it's not about the 1v1 versus Roadhog, but in a lot of aspects it is. It is, because Roadhog can still hook and destroy a tank, but it also depends on how your tank interacts with their rest of the team and how their tank interacts with your rest of the team, right? And you can manipulate this by tank mind games. So in the first, I start as Roadhog. I get counterplayed via the Zarya. So then I switch to my Zarya, and that behooves me because I'm the better Zarya. And we win even though we started losing. right? We were down 20-something, 30-something% in that first round. But I made the adjustments in the most important role that gives us the most impact. And it can be very frustrating when you aren't tank and your tank's picking Junker Queen or Doomfist or something, or Wrecking Ball, and it's like they go 2 and 8 while the enemy tank goes 34 and 1, right? So every single game that you ever play in Overwatch 2, at least so far and right now, if you look at the scoreboard and you look at your tank stats and the enemy tank stats, every single time that is going to tell you how the game is going. It just is. It's a reflection of how the game is going. If it's lopsided, then that's a lopsided game. If it's close, then maybe it's not so lopsided. Maybe there are other factors at play. You can make a difference from the support role or the damage role. Reaper going up against a Winston, or a Kiriko absolutely shutting down a Junker Queen. A lot of people love to think that she helps enable Roadhog or shuts down Ana Anti-Nade, but if you've ever played as Kiriko against Junker Queen, you will know that is the biggest counterplay that I think a support can make right now, because she absolutely shuts that ish down, especially her ultimate, which gives her the most swing potential, the most value out of most of the interactions in the entire game, right? And she shuts that down. So I come out with the Orisa, because I feel like that is a safe neutral pick here for point 2. They go with the Zarya, and I bully them, right? They do get the first point, but they are losing that interaction, and it makes them feel uncomfortable. And that is a lot of what Overwatch can come down to. It's making somebody feel uncomfortable, whether that's a Torb turret in the back that nobody's dealing with, and you're like, I keep getting damaged, there's not a lot of shields in this game, so we're just taking pure poke from that. Or Symmetra turrets, it makes you look around, you're like, fuck, there's all these turrets around here, I have to look around, makes you uncomfortable. They have a Bastion blasting you down. He got buffed for some fucking weird reason, even though he's super duper strong, as is Torbjorn Symmetra, by the way. A lot of people don't understand this. They are strong right now. Or a Reaper going straight up against you can make you really uncomfortable. An Ana keeps sleep darting you, that can make you uncomfortable. A Widowmaker, uncontested, hitting good headshots from people that are acting really dumb, that makes them uncomfortable. It forces switches. It forces your enemy player, your enemy team, to play in a certain way. And that is where you can affect how they play. So I forced them off of Zarya, because even though they captured the point, they felt uncomfortable fighting me. So they go with the Winston, which is smart. That is the correct move to play. Winston isn't going to fight Zarya head-to-head. She does more damage against him than he could ever dream to do against her. But he jumps on supports, jumps on backlines, and can make the Orisa uncomfortable because she can't chase him down and she can't peel for her teammates. So he goes to Winston, or they go to Winston. And that's part of the mind game, because a mind game has to be two-sided, right? At the very least, it can't be one-sided. If they don't switch, then cool, that works for me too. But if they do switch, then I can make it behoove myself as well. They move to Winston, so I move to D.Va. We all know D.Va is very strong against fighting Winston. Also, if I went for the Winston head-to-head, I have to worry about the Reaper a lot more than against the D.Va right now. This was a super ill-advised ultimate. That is my big mistake of this game, and might have a large impact on the fight of me using that ultimate at the wrong time, which you see a lot of people do. They're just not paying attention to the kill feed. There's like, our entire team died, and they go for a 1v5 Genji Blade or something stupid. That happens a lot. I thought I could get the remech at the most, but that was the wrong call right there. So we're going to have a bit of an uphill battle here. They just have to win one more fight, and they win. But thankfully, our ultimates are finally coming off, and I'm able to push my advantage, right? That Blossom, it's not going to get value. I'm going to Matrix that down, mitigate that, and be able to isolate, kill, and that just leaves the Winston, and he is going to die. So that's how I move the metagame back into my favor, but they're just one fight away from winning, and all that take is 2 or 3 ultimates, and that is going to shut things down. And as you can tell by the length of this video, there's going to be a round 3. That is exactly what happens. They just double or triple ult us, and that's the end of that. Ultimates are huge, and they swing, and the fact that you can hold up to 30% ultimate charge on Switch is not healthy for the game. It really isn't. Somehow Symmetra teleports behind us. They set up all their turrets, and they drop the beat, and they win the game right there. But yeah, this counter-picking economy is predicated a lot off of this ability to keep ultimate charge, so it really doesn't matter what the first tank you pick is. If you lose it, you can switch without losing that ultimate charge, and if you win it, you won it. You're an added advantage. You get to cap the point first, or, you know, you get to push the cart, or whatever, you know, the objective may be. So, made the switch. But the ult economy was nevertheless in their favor, and they made a couple of good plays, so they were able to capitalize on that. I come out with an Orisa because, you know, if they play Roadhog, I don't want to get hooked, so I'm going to play Orisa here. Maybe they play Doomfist. Orisa was literally built to destroy Doomfist in canon. She's still good up against him. So I thought it's a nice neutral play. I'm going to start here, and if it's bad, I just switch. It was bad, so I switched. They went with Winston, and so I counter with my Winston. Why? Because, you know, a mirror is a mirror. Neither of us have an advantage, so it's all going to come down to the support of our teammates and or who's the better Winston. And I just believe I'm going to be the better Winston because I'm the better Winston. That's just how it is, right? When it comes to mirror matches against tanks, I feel super confident in D.Va mirrors, in Winston mirrors, in Zarya mirrors, Orisa mirrors, or even Doom mirrors. Reinhardt's, you have to rely on your teammates way too much. I don't feel comfortable doing that nearly as much. But I not necessarily forced them to counterpick, but I am the better Winston. I was able to make that induction via the last round. Based off of how they played, and I know how I play, I knew I was going to be the better Winston. So I'm going to pick Winston, and we are going to win this game. Either forces them to continue the mirror in a matchup that they are losing, that they're not as good as me, or it forces them to switch into something else, and then I can counterplay that. But at the very least, I have the advantage in the ult economy because I won the most fights first. I won the second fight before they can win their second fight, and we have the point. So I'm going to need less victories than they do in order to even things up to get the game back to neutral in a sense. So we have not only the ult economy with me, but the ult economy with my teammates that didn't need to switch as the Mercy goes Merc mode and kills the Winston and finishes the game off right there. And yeah, you can make counter picks from the damage roll or the support roll. There's just not going to be nearly as impactful as the tank roll because the tank roll is the most important roll. Pause and look at the screen. Their tank went 15-7. I went 30-7 or whatever my score was. That's the whole ball game right there. That's the ball game. That tells you all you need to know about how did this game go. You don't need to look at the replay tape to be like, where did we went wrong? Where did we lose? You know, what fight were crucial? No, all you need to look at is how their tank did versus how our tank did. And our tank, which was me, did way, way better. So we won the game. Because I won the tank mind game, I forced them into something that was advantageous for me, and that was something that I, as a lone player, not as a team, had control over. And that's how I'm winning my tank games in this season.